The Commonwealth just asked Lindsay Clancy's ex-mother-in-law, Susan Clancy, if she was aware that murder is considered a mortal sin in the Catholic Church. Obviously, that triggered a sidebar, and when Judge Sullivan returned, he instructed the jury to disregard that. But right now, while they're on recess, I'm going to go ahead and give you a quick recap of what that testimony consisted of, because we have a long-awaited witness coming up, and I want to make sure that that gets its own video. Let's begin. Susan Clancy is Patrick Clancy's mother and a retired labor and delivery nurse who worked in that field for 38 years. She testified that she and Lindsay had a very good relationship, saw the family at least a couple of times a month, and described Lindsay as a nurturing, loving mother who loved all three of her children very much. Susan said that in the fall of 2022, she began noticing a change. In November, Lindsay reached out and told her she felt unwell. She was struggling with insomnia, loss of appetite, anxiety, and sadness. Lindsay then asked Susan for help finding care. Because Susan worked at South Shore Hospital, she reached out to colleagues connected to a clinic for women struggling with postpartum, which ultimately helped connect Lindsay with nurse practitioner Julie Paul. And when Reddington asked Susan whether Lindsay seemed interested in getting better and seeing doctors, Susan's response was pretty direct. She was begging for help. On cross-examination, the Commonwealth focused heavily on what Susan personally witnessed versus what Lindsay told her. Susan testified that on November 16th, Lindsay drove herself to the South Shore Hospital emergency room because she was having trouble sleeping and experiencing heart palpitations. The Commonwealth asked whether Lindsay told Susan that she had consumed a marijuana gummy before going to the ER. Susan said she had not. Lindsay was given trazodone to help her sleep and ultimately drove herself home. The Commonwealth then went through text messages between Lindsay and Susan. On November 29th, Lindsay wrote that she had felt she developed a benzodiazepine dependency after about 2 weeks and felt that nobody was hearing her concerns while different medications continued to be added. The following day, Lindsay wrote that she had never been that depressed before and believed the depression had been brought on by the medication. The Commonwealth also highlighted periods where Lindsay appeared to be doing better. At Thanksgiving, Susan described Lindsay smiling, interacting with the children and extended family, and saying that things were getting better, although she was still working hard to recover. Susan also described Christmas morning as great. They had breakfast, went to church, and Lindsay told her afterward that she was glad she went. And then came the question that stopped me in my tracks. The prosecutor just out of the blue asked Susan, who is an active Catholic, whether she knew that murder was considered a mortal sin. Again, immediate sidebar. Judge Sullivan returned and instructed the jury to disregard that comment. The Commonwealth continued by narrowing Susan's knowledge of Lindsay's treatment. Susan acknowledged that she did not attend Lindsay's appointments with her doctors or therapists, so she could not personally testify to what Lindsay told those providers. On redirect, Reddington brought up the Women's and Infants program in Rhode Island. Susan